Hello, church. So here's our devotional for Tuesday, March 10th. A reminder that tomorrow we are at Hinsburg UCC for our midweek Lenten services as we are focusing on different questions which Jesus asked. Um, I made a note, or I think I mentioned that I need to check out and see if we have virtual links available for all of those services. I'm thinking I haven't done it yet, but you should be able to go to the church website, but it might be helpful for folks to have a link. So uh, that's a mental reminder for myself. Today we are concluding Proverbs chapter 14 in a little broader context for us to start. So, as we started Proverbs, we had the section uplifted of chapters 1 to 9. These were largely parental teachings that are being shared, or the context is parental wisdom being shared with the child, introduced to the characters of Lady Wisdom and Madame Folly. That's the Peterson phrase for the two. And then after chapter 9, we stepped into what Van Leeuwen, or Van Leeuwen, however you say his name, apologies, uh, refers to as antithetical statements. And so we have this contribution about the righteous or the wise versus sin or those of folly. That's going to continue through chapter 15. So we're stepping into our final chapter on the antithetical sayings, and then we'll keep working through Proverbs. We're probably going to be breaking chapter 3 into 3 parts as well, because it follows a fairly similar pattern to chapter 14. So a couple of pieces from our New Revised Standard Version reading and a couple of pieces of commentary. This begins at verse 25 in Proverbs 14. Also, a reminder that Van Leeuwen entitles this section, The Wise Woman Builds Her House. A truthful witness saves lives, but one who utters lies is a betrayer. In the fear of the Lord, one has strong confidence, and one's children will have refuge. The fear of the Lord is a fountain of life, so that one may avoid the snares of death. The glory of a king is a multitude of people. Without people, a prince is ruined. Whoever is slow to anger has great understanding, but one who has a hasty temper exalts folly. A tranquil mind gives life to the flesh, but passion makes the bones rot. Those who oppress the poor insult their maker, but those who are kind to the needy honor God. The wicked are overthrown by their evil doing, but the righteous find a refuge in their integrity. Wisdom is at home in the mind of one who has understanding, but it is not known in the heart of fools. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. A servant who deals wisely has the king's favor, but his wrath falls on one who acts shamefully. Now, a couple of notes, and one I wanted to catch. You're going to hear this in Peterson. So this is at verse 27. The fear of the Lord is a fountain of life, so that one may avoid the snares of death. When we've encountered that previously, and as you will see again or hear again in the Peterson, he counterbalances the fountain of life with the well of death, or tainted well containing death. So something along those lines, which is just a neat capture. Um, there's the upcoming commentary relates to both verses 29 and 30. 30 was the one that made me pause and kind of read it again in my own sense. It's this: a tranquil mind gives life to the flesh, but passion makes the bones rot. part of what caught me was that word of passion, because we do have a positive context for passion in our society and in our language. When a person is excited about something or engaged in something, or to use the word enlivened, um, yeah, brought up in something. Van Leeuwen appropriately points out that what Proverbs is relating to here is unchecked emotion or undisciplined emotion or emotion out of control, which is intriguing. And then this is from his time of reflection to conclude our section, and a challenging word from our commentator. All human groups, whatever their size, can be characterized in terms of their spiritual, moral behavior. This came up in the previous reflection, too. In the bare bones language of Proverbs, such behavior is simply righteousness or sin. The Hebrew word for righteousness is closely associated with Yahweh. Yet, since the Lord is creator of the universe, this saying applies not just to Israel, but to all nations, which are subject to God's standards for human conduct. A nation is a unit, a body politic, or politic, whichever one you say. But in a nation as large and diverse as the United States, good and moral people are easily tempted to distance themselves from segments of the nation they consider violent or sinful. About this problem, N. Scott Peck wrote, any group will remain inevitably, potentially conscienceless and evil until such time as each and every individual holds himself or herself directly responsible for the behavior of the whole group, the organism of which he or she is a part. We have not yet begun to arrive at that point, and that is from Peck's People of the Lie, The Hope for Healing Human Evil, done in 1983. Now, Eugene Peterson, and he does some interesting stuff with the verses. Today, I'm actually preferring the NRSV because, things get sometimes a little too contemporary. or he uses contemporary idiom. If you missed that comment, and so here's our concluding section. Souls are saved by truthful witness and betrayed by the spread of lies. The fear of God builds up confidence and makes a world safe for your children. The fear of God is a spring of living water, so you won't go off drinking from poisoned wells. And there was that poison well counterbalance thing. The mark of a good leader is loyal followers. Leadership is nothing without a following. Slowness to anger makes for deep understanding. A quick-tempered person stockpiles stupidity. Not dissimilar from yesterday's comment on a fool gets stupider by the day. A sound mind makes for a robust body, but runaway emotions corrode the bones. And a pause there. So Peterson did runaway emotions, which is that comment from Van Leeuwen on verses 19 and 20. And interesting job with that one, which I appreciate. You insult your maker when you exploit the powerless. When you're kind to the poor, you honor God. The evil of bad people leaves them out in the cold. The integrity of good people creates a safe place for living. Lady wisdom is at home in an understanding heart. Fools never even get to say hello. God devotion makes a country strong. God avoidance leaves people weak. Diligent work gets a warm commendation. Shiftless work earns an angry rebuke. So that finishes up. Sorry about that. That finishes up for Proverbs 14, and we'll be back with you tomorrow as we step into Proverbs 15. Have a blessed day, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.